Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Dynamics 365 universe, your go-to space for mastering D365 finance and operations, one concept at a time. In today's session, we're going deep into one of the most fundamental yet powerful features in D365 F&O, number sequences. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand what number sequences are, but you'll also learn how to configure manual number sequences, how to avoid common confusion, and why format really matters. Customizing a number sequence, real-world scenario. Let's now talk about a practical challenge. Suppose you're creating vendor accounts in this legal entity. Here from format, we can understand the system auto-generates the first vendor as DAT-000001. Then you go and create a customer account to see the format of number sequence, and guess what? It shows the exact same format, DAT-5 times 0 then 1. That's confusing, right? You can't tell from the ID whether it's a vendor or a customer. This is where customizing number sequences becomes extremely useful. Manual number sequence setup. Step by step. Let's now create a manual number sequence for vendor accounts that is specific, meaningful, and clean. To do this, go to Organization Administration, then Number Sequences, then Number Sequences. Click on New to create a fresh number sequence. Give it a code like Vend SEQ, and name it something like Vendor Sequence Code. Scope, shared or company? Under the Scope section, if you want the sequence shared across companies, choose Shared. If you want it to be specific to one legal entity, select Company. In our case, we're setting this up for DAT only, so we'll select Company, and choose DAT as the legal entity. Now comes the fun part, segments. This is where you define the structure of the number format. Let's break it down. Company, we're not including company name this time to avoid confusion. Constant, we use the text VEN to indicate this is a vendor. Alphanumeric, we add 6 hashes, meaning we'll have 6 digits. Let's call our new format, Vend 000001. This way, every vendor ID starts with Vend, clearly indicating what kind of record it is. So, your first vendor account number will be Vend 000001. And the next one, Vend 000002, and so on. Let's come to the next section, which is Setup. Stop parameter. There's also a stop flag if you mark a number sequence as stopped. You won't be able to use it. Creating a vendor will throw an error. It's like disabling that sequence temporarily. Manual versus automatic number assignment. There's another option, the manual checkbox. If checked, the user has to manually type the vendor ID. If unchecked, the ID is auto-generated. We usually uncheck this for master data to maintain consistency and reduce human error. Continuous versus non-continuous. Now, let's talk about the continuous checkbox. If checked, the system ensures each number is strictly sequential, no gaps. If unchecked, the system may skip numbers to improve performance. Continuous numbering sounds nice, but it can hurt performance if many users are posting transactions at once. That's because the system locks the next number until it's assigned. For example, if 50 users are posting vendor invoices simultaneously and the number sequence is continuous, the system will wait and assign numbers like 001, 002, and so on, but it might slow things down. Performance boost with pre-allocation. To solve this, Dynamics 365 allows pre-allocation only when continuous is not selected. This means the system pre-allocates a batch of numbers, say, 5, to each user session. User A may get numbers 001 to 005, while user B gets 006 to 010. So even if only 3 vendors are created, their IDs might be Vend 001, Vend 006, Vend 0011. Note, this improves performance, but the numbering is not sequential anymore. For master data like vendors or customers, continuity isn't critical, so performance is prioritized. For demo purpose, I am using continuous number sequence, otherwise, we use non-continuous in general. Make sure your largest number is set to something like 999,999, matching the number of hashes. Means under the Performance tab, check that the largest number matches the number of digits in your format. For example, for 6 digits, your max should be 999,999. Else you will get such warning message. Tagging the sequence to a reference. Once your sequence is defined, you must link it to the right system reference. For vendors, go to Accounts Payable, parameters greater than number sequences. Replace the default vendor account sequence with your new one, VENDSEQ. Now, when you create a new vendor, the vendor account number will auto-populate as VEND000001. Clean, specific, and no confusion with customers. Alright, now that we've set up our number sequence for the vendor account, let's see it in action by creating a new vendor in the system. To do this, head over to either the Procurement and Sourcing module or the Accounts Payable module. In this demo, I'm going into the Procurement and Sourcing module. Don't worry about the full vendor creation process just yet, we'll cover that in detail in a future episode. For now, our focus is just to understand how the number sequence behaves when creating a vendor. So, let's navigate to all vendors and click on the new button. As soon as the vendor creation form opens, you'll notice that the vendor account number is automatically generated. This is because the number sequence we created earlier is not manual, it's an automatic number sequence. As a result, the system generates the first vendor account as VEN0001. Now, notice how the vendor account field is grayed out, it's non-editable because the number is system generated. Let me show you something interesting. There's a parameter in the number sequence setup called Allow User Changes to Higher Numbers. If this is turned on, users will be able to manually override the auto-generated number, but only with a higher number than the current one. Let's test that quickly. I'll go to the number sequence settings, enable that option, and save. Now, when I create a new vendor again, I can edit the vendor account field. So, if I want to manually change it to a higher number, say VEN002, the system allows that. But again, this is only possible because the Allow Changes parameter is enabled. Also, you'll notice that in the References section of the number sequence setup, the vendor account reference gets automatically populated once the number sequence is linked to the vendor account field. Earlier, it was blank because we hadn't linked it yet. And that's how number sequences work with vendor creation in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. We'll revisit number sequences again in future scenarios when modifications are needed or when exploring additional modules. Hope this gave you a clear picture of how automatic numbering works. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update from Dynamics 365 Universe. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring.